Hey guys, I just wanted to go through what my current Anki workflow is that uses the AnKing deck. So just as a little overview, we're gonna go through first my current workflow, and here are some steps. Then I have some tips for AnkiHub users, and then I want to talk about AnkiCollab, which is a free add-on that does so far some of the things that AnkiHub does. Okay, let's first talk about how we can use AnKing cards in addition to other cards to really get our didactics well. Okay, so first let's create a deck under our current didactics. Respiratory. I'll call this one respiratory since that's the block we're in right now. Actually, I'll call this respiratory AnKing respiratory. Okay. So I created this deck over here, and now let's go ahead and populate it with some things that we think would be relevant. So we're going to hit browse and go here. Now let's look at the left hand side over here where we see all of our decks. Usually we'd think, okay, let's say with anatomy, we'll go into a deck and then the subdecks is how we're going to organize it. That's not so with AnKing. What we're actually going to do is forget these decks. We're going to go to the tags. So when we go to tags, we'll go to the AnKing Step 1 V12 tag set over here. And when we open this up, we can see that the many cards, over 30,000 cards, are organized by Amboss or Boards and Beyond or First Aid. Now, what we can do is we can go ahead and open up, just as an example, Boards and Beyond, and go down to pulmonology over here. So this is going to have to do with, should be lungs. Okay, cool. So we found this card about tidal volume that has to do with lungs. This one, I see the word pneumo, that's probably lungs. Okay, so let's take these four cards over here and change the deck up here to our AnKing respiratory. Okay. Now let's go back to our decks and see what's happened. Those are still suspended. Oops. So now it's useful to go back into our decks and to Control A and Control J to unsuspend all of them. And now that we see we have four cards over here. So that means if I click on current didactics, it'll take me bugging out a little bit. There we go. Current didactics. Okay, and we saw that title volume card and the nice Amboss plugin here is coming in. And we can try to do this. This is hard. I don't know what this is. Okay. And now we'll go back to our decks over here. Now, this is great for the AnKing cards. So, again, what we do is we go through the AnKing tags, and we select a card, or multiple cards, and we change the deck here to our didactics. Okay. But what if we have some other cards from that are mentioned in lecture but that are not in AnKing? These are still going to appear on our exam, right, for a UF. So let's go ahead and create a deck called Lecture Respiratory that goes over here. Now, under lecture respiratory, we currently don't have any cards, but we can go ahead and add one. Let's make sure we have the right deck over here. Yes, we do. And this card type, sure, this is fine. Who is our course director? And then for the extra, Dr. Sayeski. Okay, on the back. Great. So let's go ahead and... sure. Okay. Please don't yell at me. Okay, let's close that. So now we see that... Okay, fine. It's a close. Okay, we did this. Hooray, it's happy. So who is our course director? Dr. Sasuke. Woo! And then it's also here. Okay, great. So what this means is we've added this card here in our lecture-based respiratory deck, and in our AnKing-based respiratory deck, we have the ones that we got from the AnKing deck. But what this means is now when we click on current didactics, we're going to get both of these. Okay, title volume, I don't know this either, Oh, but those were AnKing cards. This is a just lecture card. Nice. I know that one. Okay, so this allows us to create one deck over here that has both the AnKing cards and the lecture cards. You know, in fact, if we wanted, we could just create a deck called Respiratory. And then, oopsie daisy. Put both of these. Oh, is that going to work? Nice. Under this. So now it looks like, okay, current didactics, we have respiratory, and the respiratory contains both AnKing and lecture. So we can use this to study for our exam. And then when we're kind of done with this, I have this archive deck that I just kind of shove all of these into here and don't re-look at them until later. It's a little spooky to have your AnKing cards all over the place, but it's somehow kind of magically all right. And with somehow magically, it kind of has to do with now I went to browse and went to an AnKing card, and we're going to look on the right hand side here. They have some identifiers. Okay, ignore that. Sorry about that. Okay. So we went over how to use AnKing cards and how to combine AnKing cards and lecture cards to use our current didactics. All right. So now let's go back to our little outline here. Okay, we did all of this. Now let's move on to AnkiHub users, because there's some cool stuff that you can do with AnkiHub. So now we're having to kind of manually go through and choose which cards from all of our AnKing cards, our 30,000 AnKing cards, that we want to include into respiratory. And right now, each one of us is having to do that ourselves manually. And the next year students will have to do that themselves as well. Okay, it'd be awesome if there was a way that we could organize, just as Boards and Beyond has organized AnKing, if we could also organize AnKing per UF's curriculum. There actually is a way to do that. It's currently only implemented for AnkiHub. Let's take a look. Okay, here I am on my AnkiHub page, and I see that I'm subscribed to AnKing Overhaul for Step 1, Step 2. If I go over to my decks, now I don't have any decks, right? But there's this option for, I haven't made any decks. There's this option for optional tags. What's that? So I'm also maintaining it, but I'm subscribed to the UFCom optional tag set. What this means is that if we go back to Anki and we go into browse and we scroll down to AnkiHub optional here, you'll see that there's this tag set called UF College of Medicine, UFCom. And in this, we have, say, in MS1 Spring, so in systems we have this. This is all a work in progress, but we can make it so that we have, okay, in MS1 in the spring term, go to Cabco, and here are, well, optionally there'd be more, but the Cabco cards organized, even if we wanted, by week. Okay, we've taken our Cabco exam, now let's go to Immuno. And here we have the AnKing cards that correspond to our UF College of Medicine FMI Immuno course. This is a great opportunity. This would be awesome. Imagine how awesome it would be if we could all kind of crowdsource which cards would be best to go into which tags. And the beauty of tags as opposed to subdecks is that the same card can be in FMI Immuno and in Foundations 3 when we learned about some of these immunology concepts for the first time. This is currently only implemented on AnkiHub, so the paid service, which will kind of allow us to share this tag set. However, it's coming soon, hopefully, to AnkiCollab. What is AnkiCollab? So AnkiCollab, sorry, this is, we've gone from light to dark over here. So AnkiCollab is an add-on that does similar things to AnkiHub, but it's entirely free and open source. It's rather new and not as well built out as AnkiHub, but I'm talking to the creator of AnkiCollab to hopefully get the optional tag set feature included soon. Yes, but something that is already there in AnkiCollab is the ability to create collaborative decks, and here are some decks that other people have made, where just like AnkiHub, you can work together to create a deck, but it's hosted over here. You don't need to crowd over one laptop or send a deck back and forth over email or something like that. So something pretty cool that this allows us to do, AnkiCollab, hopefully we get the optional tag sets as well, is coming back to Anki here. For our courses, in this case respiratory, we can have the AnKing respiratory, a subdeck for AnKing respiratory cards, and we can also create a highly reviewed, crowdsourced by our fellow classmates, lecture deck that supplements the AnKing cards to fill in the gaps that are not in AnKing but are on our exam. I hope this video has been useful and shows the current, my current AnKing workflow could iterate over time, and also shows some cool features of AnkiHub and AnkiCollab. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help. Thank you for watching, and go Gators.